the rare criticism against Donald Trump from Chief Justice John Roberts, the Republican appointed the head of the Supreme Court. This isn't the first time the president has blasted federal judges who ruled against his administration, but it is the first time Chief Justice Roberts has actually spoken out against the current president, and this is what prompted the rebuke.
Your asylum policy has been put on hold.
Well, you go to the Ninth Circuit, and it's a disgrace, and I'm going to put in a major complaint because you cannot win, if you're us, a case in the Ninth Circuit. This was an Obama judge, and I'll tell you what, it's not going to happen like this anymore.
All right, with me now, NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams, who has been covering the courts and knows really intimately how justices think about the commentary, particularly that they make in public, particularly about a president. Pete, this is unusual.
Well, it's unusual for several reasons. Number one, John Roberts is a very restrained, cautious sort of person. His public statements tend to be very well thought out. So for him to respond directly to a statement by the president is unusual in itself. This was a response that the Associated Press sought and very quickly got this written statement from the Chief Justice. Here's what he said. We do not have Obama judges or Trump judges, Bush judges or Clinton judges. What we have is an extraordinary group of dedicated judges doing their level best to do equal rights and right to those appearing before them. The independent judiciary is something we should be proud of. Now, of course, all judges hate it when you suggest that a judge made a decision based on the president that appointed him or her. When you go to the judicial conferences and you ask judges, what is it that we as reporters do that bug you? That's what they consistently say. So this is always sort of a red flag to any judge anywhere when you say, well, this was an Obama judge, so what else are you going to get? Now, the president is right. His record has not been very good in the Ninth Circuit on the travel ban, on sanctuary cities, on lots of other issues. Shopping for a forum where you think you might get a favorable ruling, however, is something that people on both sides of the political spectrum do. So, you know, setting all that aside, I think what makes this interesting and newsworthy is just the fact that the Chief Justice, after hearing lots of comments from Donald Trump about judges, decided today was the day to respond.
But the attack wasn't on him. Right? That's interesting.
Correct.
He was talking about judges. He was sort of speaking on behalf of all those judges who probably don't have the same security as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court to take on the president.
Well, true. He wasn't now, Donald Trump has criticized John Roberts in the past. During the campaign, he was critical of John Roberts for casting a vote in favor of Obamacare. But today's response was not to something criticizing Chief Justice Roberts or the Supreme Court, but as the Chief Justice, and because this was an attack on a federal judge, John Roberts felt the need to respond.
All right. Pete, good to see you. Thank you, as always. Pete Williams, NBC News Justice correspondent.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.